Hey everybody, it's Lynn from A Bit of Birdsong. I wanted to share the Accidental Encyclopedia, my new junk journal. My initial thought was maybe to work on this one page at a time and share ideas, but this journal ended up with a lot of pages in it. And you know how it is when you sit down with something that you're really enjoying, it's hard to quit. I could definitely put more into this journal and spend more time on it, and I may do that, but it is so full right now and there are so many ideas in here. I thought I would do a flip through, and you can refer to this if you want to for ideas or inspiration. And if you're not in my Facebook group, we have some really nice people in there. The point is, if you're in there or if you want to be in the group, I would love to see pictures. Feel free to share pictures of what you do with your junk journals, with your art. Feel free to share your YouTube channels, your shops. You probably remember the beads, the charms. I took my flower petals and put one on the front. I sewed that with a sewing machine, and there's one on the back. I don't worry about being too neat with that. I do fold the petals in such a way sometimes to hide the hole in the center where it has come off of the stem. We've got the little charm from the other day, and I did glue one of the paper tickets onto the front. Never feel like you have to use an entire piece of something. You can fussy cut parts of your own artwork. You can use stencils to make shapes and cut those out. This is a sticker that I cut just the numbers out. I didn't want the whole thing. There was a piece of this gold ribbon in the kits. I used mine to be like a stencil and just take gold paint and get kind of a messy pattern there on the edge of the page. And of course, that brush has coffee in it, which is another thing that I would like to share. I normally don't like the smell of coffee in a journal. This Dollar Tree coffee, however, the French vanilla, I just put some grounds and some water out here and let it sit. I think I'm going to start brewing a cup of this though to keep in the shop because it has a pleasant smell to me and it doesn't dry, smelling really strong. I tore out pieces of paper that I had gotten paint on. These are some of the leftovers from the really nice calendar pages. You can just glue those on the edges to make tabs. You don't have to use a sewing machine. In fact, you can see that this tab is one of the pages that was really heavy. It's where it was torn off of the wire. I just cut pretty images out, made backgrounds with some of the pieces of paper, whether it was wrapping paper or calendar paper. If you're not crazy about the look of the holes in the paper where you stitch something into place, you can cover it with masking tape to add more interest. I do that a lot. The way I used this kit is just to pull pictures and words and get inspiration. I called it the Accidental Encyclopedia because whenever I'm doing a project like this, I realize how little I know about history. We've got a nursery rhyme over here, and then at least one of my pages had some vintage photos of different women. I think some of them were opera singers. This lady was Mary Garden, and here she is with, it said yard-long tresses. I don't know if that was partially a wig for a performance or if that was her real hair. I've got I Am a Soprano, and the name here, Melisande. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Maybe that's the part she was playing, but it always inspires me to try to look things up and learn. Here's a dancer, Loy for Fuller, and the I has got this accent here. I guess that's pronounced Loy. I took some little alphabet embellishments and put her name at the bottom there with the little embellishments and glue. There were a few little charms in the kits, two, I believe, and then you had some of the heavy paper charms or tags, embellishments. I haven't used this one yet. There is a piece cut out from a drawing I did. I loved, okay, so maybe, let me see if I can show you this. I glued this information about this picture in the book on top of part of the calendar page. This calendar had this beautiful blue stamp in the background, like a postage stamp, and I loved it, but I had partially covered it up with this. To get that look again, I decided to use this Tim Holtz Distress Ink in Peacock Feathers. And I recently found some very cool, these stamps are really for school, like for math. And they're the different coins, US coins. I simply used the blue ink just to stamp those around on top of both pages. Don't discount school supplies and things. You might find some cool stamps that you can use, or images, things like that. And this is some of the fabric. I used my fabric throughout the project to soak up paint and things like that off of the pages, so I ended up with some really pretty grungy fabric to sew on the edge as tabs. Here's just a little drawing. Some of the wrapping paper in the kit had cupcakes on it, so I cut the cupcakes out and then went into the dictionary and found cupcake and cut the definition out. And of course you see she has a necklace that says cupcake. Commune of Paris. I had no idea there was something called the Commune. I know that I should have. That shows a big gap in my learning, and I want to read more about this. Maybe it's something I know a little bit about the time frame, but I'm not familiar with the people involved or the terminology. But my pages happened to have a lot about this Commune, and it mentions Marx, so I don't know if it's, you know, the communist, that train of thought. Maybe I just need to read more. And again, that's one of the reasons this is called the Accidental Encyclopedia. Here is one of the images that was in the kit. Just a photograph. I have no idea whose photograph this is. It's a lady sitting in an organ. I didn't want to glue this down, and let me tell you why. I have found that gluing these photographs, especially like from the 70s or 80s or whatever, they kind of curve with the glue, or they can, and it buckles the whole page, and it gets really, it's not very pliable, and I don't like the look that it gives. So I stapled it at the top, and then there were these little musical note, or that's the treble clef there, paper clips in the kit, so I put one at the top. And then at the bottom of this page, I wrote, "She always played the organ." Here I've made a pocket, and I used one of the beautiful new stamps that Jennifer sent me. It says 1897, and this lady flying on the butterfly. It reminds me of a lady holding the flag in the vintage paintings. You see some of the revolutionary stuff, French Revolution, and the, 1776 here. Here's another old photograph, the black and white. I just tucked that into this page that is from a bag, a paper bag. I used the highlighter, so highlighters can be really fun. I highlighted the edge of this picture, just what is sticking out of the pocket, and then "pull here" is written in Sharpie. You can highlight different things that you want to make it look like an accidental encyclopedia. We have mosquito net and water buffalo, and it just tells how useful they are in areas that maybe don't have enough resources. And again, this is just a person from the book pages. Her name is Gabby Deslis. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Friend of Kings and her limousine. One of the ideas that I had when I put this into the book, and I was looking at this black and white photograph, I bet you could recreate this now. I could go out next to my vehicle and dress in something that looks, 20s or 30s, and take a picture in black and white, and I bet it would be really cool. So I might try to do that. And then I will come back and put it in this journal. You can put quotes on pages. Every page doesn't have to be some sort of artwork or collage. This is just one quote, and I used a piece of ribbon in the kit to make a tab on the page. I just sewed that on the edge of the page. This page could use something, and that could be, coming back with a gel pen, one that writes, and put a favorite quote. This is one of the jelly rolls. So this grungy fabric that was left over, I used it to put tabs on the pages throughout. That's a piece of the scrapbook paper that was in the kit. I love the way it tied in with the colors in this book page. And then again, I just highlighted names, pictures, things from the pages that happened to be in my kit. And I chose the kit that I used at random. So every kit is going to have a different feel. You may get a different vibe from your pictures. On this one, I took a big Sharpie and blacked out all of the words that I wanted to hide, and then just left French courtiers. And you can see this costume here, the feet, the hose. Here's Marx. Karl Marx, believed to have masterminded the commune, actually was amazed at its establishment. Anyway, it's interesting. I highlighted these last night and it seems like it faded a little bit. I don't know if that is from the heat where I used it to dry some of the pages. These books can continue to evolve. You can just keep going back and adding layer after layer. This is a fun page, basic arm movements. I think this is the dancers in the king's courts and some of the things they would do. I love this page. I took the little piece of ephemera from the library and printed the butterfly on it, and each kit should have one of those. This is a piece of calendar page that was left over, and I just glued it in to make a little pocket. And then the bookmarks had these dogs on them, so I took the bulldog and cut it out at the bottom, slender enough to slide right into the pocket, and then sort of made these little slits right next to the paws so that the paws could hang out. Of course, this made me think of Heart and the song Dog and Butterfly. That's a song that I learned to sing when I was taking voice lessons. I love that song. So here, another fabric tab. That's a piece of paper where I had done a test stamp with one of these coin stamps, and I ended up just gluing that in. I also used my ink refill to make random dots in some of the pages or on some of the pages. I love the way this page turned out. I used this, and anything that has holes in it can be used as a stencil. Again, I cut out one of the images that I thought was really pretty, just glued it onto the page, and it happened to be a black page, so it was really nice the way it all worked together. I wrote her name, Lena Cavalieri, onto some of the nice calendar paper, and everything else is just pretty much gold paint using this stencil. This is another part of that paper bag, and I just cut words out at random. You could go back to the dictionary and cut out the definition of the word alliance and glue that in. Things like that are so much fun. And then I love this. This is the part of the card that was in each kit, and it's got this beautiful embossed flower, multiple flowers. It looks like it has a rose and maybe, hello, I don't know what it's called. It's got one of the grungy fabric tabs to pull it out of the pocket there. Oh, I did want to show you something that I really like as an idea. Now, where is it? The pocket. Okay, so you know how sometimes if you're gluing a piece of paper on to make a pocket and it comes really close to the edge, it's hard to get that glued in where everything lays flat and it doesn't curl up and get folded next to this page. What I did was take a piece of paper and cut out basically a little rectangle. I left 2 tabs that I could slide right under the next page. You can see the binding string here, so I made it narrow enough to go beside that, and then there's one up here. I did still glue it right here, but it's not as much material to totally glue down on this side, and it makes it look more continuous. And then we have these interesting tabs on this page, and you could even be funny and say, oh, that might be too big. Let's get a smaller Sharpie. I need some new Sharpies. Interesting tabs. That's fun. If only this looked like an eye. There we go. Interesting tabs. And then we could even do this. Okay, moving on. Oh, I love this page as well. This page was about Alphonse Mucha and this art movement that was so beautiful. I went ahead and cut it to a size, and this is one of his paintings of Sarah Bernhardt. I put some stamps on the page, first with some beautiful lavender paint, acrylic paint, to pick up these colors. Then I immediately washed the stamp, and then I went back and used gold paint. And then, of course, washed the stamp again really quickly because you don't want to ruin your stamps with acrylic paint. And here I just made some random marks. The cards, okay, and this is another thing I definitely wanted to share. Things can be so thick that they end up adding too much bulk to a page. So don't be afraid to tear things apart like this. It's so much thinner now, and you could end up using both pieces at this point in some way. But these cards were really thick, and instead of trying to glue them in as just whole cards or whatever, I took it down just to this very top layer and tore it. I glued it in, and then that's just a random word, and I like the way it ended up looking like, almost like a jail window. And don't be afraid to scribble, you know, write words, thoughts. Is this a jail? And that really faint writing just kind of, it can tie right in. Then here's a little pocket with some scrapbook paper. There's one of the playing cards. I really distressed that one. You could write here. In fact, what I would write, this journal was made with a kit from a bit of birdsong in March 2022. I don't think you can have too many hearts. And we might as well color this one in too. And of course, different papers react differently. We could also use some of our coffee stain to spread that one. Moving on, this is where I took this and put it underneath and did like a little, I remember what they're called, like a pencil rubbing that you do with leaves and things in elementary school. I don't think it shows up as much on camera as it does on the paper. Still really faint. I wonder if I had used something other than just this colored pencil. But then I went around it with some gold paint and put some rings there from just a lid. And I keep those close by to use all the time. I love this. So this is the calendar page that was blank. Very similar to when I cleaned out my paints the other day. I just stuck with pinks and reds though, and put the names of 4 of the different colors that I used. And then some of the boxes, the colors are mixed together. There's another one of those like crayon rubbings. If you ever notice that a page is tearing, don't be afraid to use masking tape. It just adds to the personality. There's another tab there, and it looks like we've got some sticking going on. This was an image that just came from my box of things that I keep close by. So you can pull from your own supplies, you know, you can just pull from everywhere to add to your kit. This felt to me like it tied in with the whole Revolution theme, the French theme, and some of the paintings and designs and everything. Here's another calendar page, and I took some of the pencils and pens that were in my kit and colored and just wrote the colors down. That's part of a calendar page that I glued on top of this background, which kind of was a wooded look, a field with woods behind it. And this was an image in my book pages. So the writing that was attached to it, explaining what it was, I cut that away and then rewrote that with a black ink pen so that we don't lose the information, but it looks more artsy. This, of course, was one of the cards that I folded in my book. It I made it so that it would open up on each side like a little matchbook flip out. This is from one of the calendar pages, April showers, bring Mayflowers. And then we have another part of the roses from the calendar page. That page was a bit glossy, so I hope you can see that. And then again, there's one of the beautiful stamped images from Jennifer. That was the test stamp that I did. It's a little bit blurry because I moved the stamp, but I just fussy cut that and glued it onto that page. You know, you could come back and add some distressing, and anyway, there's so much that you can keep doing to books. Pull a book off of your shelf and see what you're inspired to add to it. These were circle punches that came from one of the pieces of scrapbook paper. This little word, art, was on one of the heavier calendar pages, so I just cut out that strip and wrote the word over here to repeat it. Could probably write it one more time just to make it 3 times. There's so much you can keep doing to every page. I probably should add something here. I love this. I used the brush with the coffee stain and painted the whole page. And then I put a drop or 2 of this distress paint, the tarnished brass, and that's Ranger. I just let that run. And then this is a Jane Davenport sticker. This came from La Charonne. I wanted to see how, just test it. I had not used one yet. So it feels really kind of more modern and metallic. And I may come back and add to this. It's like she's wrapped in a blanket. I've only put 1 layer of color. And then here's another sticker, but I may come back and add more color to her face and more texture in her hair just to get that really bright look off of the sticker or away from the sticker. And so this is about King Louis. I'm noticing these words here. Louis believed that it was a king's duty to pursue royal pleasure as relentlessly as he pursued royal business. So there we have a court dancer. Look at this huge wig. There's a butterfly there. This is the center. Some of these images were so cool. There was just nothing to do except leave them here. This page I painted silver, again using the Ranger Distress. This is Tim Holtz, and it is brushed pewter. I cut out some of the red circles and put those. I love the contrast there with the black and the sort of sepia color and the silver and this red. And then again, you can highlight words. Here's the word pleasure, and then we have the word rigid etiquette, hallmarks of the time period. Probably need to draw something here and write something here, but those pages could just be exactly what they are. I could come back and put stickers or do collage there. This is kind of interesting. Just this layer of exposed, really rough, raw paper from the inside of the tag. In fact, I think I will just glue that there. Random tag. Just a little drawing. The little white like calling cards or business cards that were in the kit, I distressed mine pretty heavily and then just drew a little face on one, and that of course is more highlighter just to add some color. I think I've about taken all the color out of this. Here's another charm from the kit. We have a beautiful calendar page with the bird. I found the word elements and just cut that out at random and glued it right over the bird's eye. Here's some torn pieces of paper and a punched circle just to make sort of a collage. And then on this page, here's another bookmark. We have the beagles sitting in the car, so I cut that part out. I had painted basically this whole little fold out in a beautiful blue. This is the Dilutions Vibrant Turquoise. This was from my friend Jennifer. I have We Did It right here, and then when you open it up, here is the vintage ribbon. Each kit had a ribbon, and this happened to be the Kennel Club, so I just cut it down to size and glued it inside. And Jennifer, this is some of the linen washi tape that you sent me, the Tim Holtz, the new 2022. I love this, and it sticks so well. Really pretty. I had a tear in that page, so not to worry. I I just put masking tape. This is just a random card that I think is really pretty. And we could do that either side. I think I kind of like that side better. Calendar page, and here is the flag, Social Revolution, and you see like Lady Liberty there going forward with the flag. I love that this happens to have the year 76 on it. Just more random painting and using the ribbon as the stencil. This is a name that I intend to look up, Minna von Barnhelm. And just more book pages. This is a little bird that I sketched quickly. This calendar paper is so heavy. It's like it just soaks up the color and the water so quickly. This ink usually runs more than this, but I feel like it doesn't really even move. The fibers just hold on to it. So it's really fun to work with different kinds of paper. And there is one of the pieces of heavy calendar paper with the torn edges where it came off of the wire. I just glued that into place. And we could come back and add color here. We could use watercolors, and this little set came from my friend Brandy. Brandy, I have used this more than I can even express. Have absolutely loved this, and I think of you every time I'm using this. Thank you so much. But it would be fun to add color to that. Here we have just another random photograph. I love the look here. These ladies with their hats, and one has a name tag. I don't know if they're doing some sort of, if it's a vacation travel or if it's missionary work or if they are docents at some facility where they're giving tours. I just love old pictures. This is from 1982. Then we have the pocket here that came from a calendar. This is just a random postcard from 1995. It was showing, it's like an advertisement for an art show. Love the bird in this. So that could definitely be inspiration to try to recreate this, to practice your own painting or drawing. And to keep the back of the calendar from looking like an old calendar, I used some of the wrapping paper that was in the kit and glued it down, and then there's just a random piece of paper I had used to blot extra paint up with. There's a piece of the fancy paper, and then just a random book page, more book pages. This lady didn't have any clothes on, so I punched out a circle and wrote naked on that. There is another one of the cards, the little business cards. I distressed mine. And there's the stamp on this side. This is one of my favorite stamps. It looks like a, sort of like a dandelion seed pod. More book pages. I cut out the words the sea and put that here. And then this page, I blacked out most of the words, and I have Queen Victoria arrived. Alarmists had insisted that the fair was sure to attract anarchists who would assassinate Victoria and Albert. And then we have the little nest here with the egg up above. And there's one of the paper charms. I thought it was fun here to have the crow, and it says the Gypsy Magpie, because on this page I cut out a balloon from a vintage playing card and glued it into place. Just more paint splotches. This side was like this side. It's one book page, so we have a more modern dock here, but I cut out an old picture of some ladies floating on some water and glued that down here. It's funny how the colors just all tie together. Makes me think, you know, that people are people, and history passes by, years pass by, but people are still just people, and they live and they love and they laugh, and then they pass away. So yeah, I just tore the edge off of that because I didn't like that straight white edge. This is a fabric sample that was in the kit. Again, this is another little flashcard. I tore it down to make it thinner, and I'm not sure, oh no, that's not supposed to be stuck. Here is some little, just an informational piece from the book. Again, it's talking about the commune. That seems to be a theme in this little journal here. I left this page just the way it was. or just the way it is. More scribbling, and that's the other side of that fancy paper. We have the stamp that sort of looks like a dandelion seed pod. I stamped over it. I stamped it first with black ink and then took my R2 black pen and made some marks, and now this is a gel pen that's sort of a coppery color. I've done just a little bit of tea staining on that, or coffee staining, but I may go back. This again is one of those pockets from the calendar, and I collaged on this side to just cover up that it's an old calendar. And I love this picture. I love that you can see laundry hanging over a railing up high on this building. I really like that a lot. And that just sits in the pocket. Another one of those tabs made from a calendar page with the torn edges. And there is a little drawing with some watercolor. Again, I feel like this paper just totally soaks up the paint. Here's some words from the book, just at random. Vacation had not begun, or vacations had not begun. And that's the end of what I have right now. I wanted to go ahead and fill this up. I was so inspired, and I start working on something and I have a hard time stopping, especially like if Jason is at a rehearsal or in a lesson or a session. I can just come out here and have hours to myself, and this was a lot of fun. There's so much more even now that could be added to this. You could go back with a final layer and turn this into a really themed book if you had a series of butterfly die cuts, for example, or insects, moths, birds, and you could randomly glue them in. Well, not even randomly, just scatter them through, I guess is what I'm trying to say, and label each one with the genus and species or with colors, and it would be yet another theme. It's just another layer. So I hope this has been inspiring. I hope it's helped you to either know, if you have a kit, to get busy and use it all up, challenge yourself to use it, or even if you're using your own supplies, just to get busy and see what you come up with. I don't feel like I'm quite done with mine, but I'm done enough to do this final flip through to share the ideas. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye for now.